Hey everyone. Real quick before we get started, I wanted to apologize for taking so long to get this video made, considering the original run was done all the way back in September, although the planning, routing, and taking notes started all the way back in June. I wish I had footage of the original run, but Twitch deleted the VOD a while ago, so all that's left are some clips, and most of those clips, there won't be audio because I was accidentally playing copyrighted music on the stream. If you'd like to see the closest thing to the full run, I'll link a commentated video that I used for an AGDQ submission. Other than the run we're about to walk through, there was one other attempt I had that died to me getting lost on the menu and accidentally rebinding my controls, which obviously there was no way back from. Enter, up, enter, 1, 2, 3. I did, okay, cool. So I got that part right, which is good. Should be good. Start up the file again. No! Ah! Oh no, stop, don't do it! Don't do it! No! Don't do it, Cactus! The actual run was no treat either. It was taking such a mental toll that I actually had to split the run up over 3 days for reasons that will become apparent later. Anyways, just wanted to say that I'm trying to put content out more consistently to both YouTube and Twitch. If you like this kind of challenge run content, feel free to subscribe and follow my Twitch. I always stream there before making the video and posting to YouTube. It's totally free and you can always change your mind later. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, one of the novelties of this run was that we actually end up swapping patches back and forth between patch 1.2.21, the patch commonly used for speedruns, and patch 1.5 point numbers, current patch, hereafter referred to as 1.5. We use 1.2.21 because on that patch, Flukenest is incredibly overpowered, and probably is the only thing that makes this run possible. At least, I personally don't see how you could beat any late-game bosses without it. We use 1.5 because they made enemy spawns in rooms more consistent, and in general it made movement portions of the run much, much easier. The first thing we actually do in the run is start a file on 1.2.21, then immediately swap to 1.5. This is because in 1.5, Flukenest was hard nerfed, both in its damage output and the fact that it costs 1 extra charm notch to equip. However, due to Team Cherry Spaghetti code, even if I were to swap back to 1.2.21 after getting the charm on a file that was originally made on 1.5, it would still be 3 notches, which would mean I can't cheese a boss later on. King's Pass is easy enough to work through. I take a quick detour to grab Lifeblood here, cause a little extra HP never hurt anybody, before making my way over to the Fury of the Fallen chest, because I need a certain amount of charms before I can buy the charm notch from Celubra later on. Then I have to take another lap all the way back through King's Pass again before continuing on through Dirtmouth. We quickly stop and say hi to Elderbug, because A, he is a cool dude, and B, it would be rude not to. The beginning of the run is a lot like every other run of Hollow Knight. I cheese the Aspid Arena by hiding in a corner and jumping out and swinging like a madman, hoping that I can land hits until they die. I also make sure to collect enough Geo to be able to unlock the Crossroads Stag Station for later in the run. After that is the first boss of the run, False Knight, which actually turned out to be the biggest pushover of all the bosses. I collect max soul from the enemies in the arena before the fight starts, which allows me to face tank through all of his phases. It only takes 13 hits to stagger him, during which he's only able to hit me twice, meaning I can easily heal to full, tank his next phase, etc. until the fight is over. We collect his Geo and go into Ancestral Mound to collect Vengeful Spirit. Unfortunately, I do take my first death here because the mini boulders only have 1 audio cue and it's too hard to tell where they are when they start their roll. Easy enough though to reclaim my soul and kill the big boulder to finally escape. After this, we work our way to Greenpath, through the absolute hell of a room. It took a long time to route this because while the spawns are fairly consistent due to 1.5, the Grutters can still bounce every which way, meaning if I think I hear one fairly close, I just have to stand still on the platform and spam nail until I'm safe. Luckily, it went really well in this run, and we make our way into Greenpath. I spam this loading zone, killing a tick-tick that's right outside over and over for full soul and HP, before killing the next boulder, getting full soul again, and making my way into Greenpath. Platforming segments are probably my favorite part of this run. They were a blast to route and even more satisfying to pull off. This room didn't take too long because the platforms are pretty much full jumps apart, giving me easy access into Greenpath. The first room isn't too difficult, barring this one section where the platforms are awkwardly spaced, and I have to get into this perfect position before being able to continue on. We grabbed this bench as a checkpoint, a common theme in the run you'll see, and as much as I would love to include fireball skips in this run, we continue through Greenpath the normal route, down and around. When I was routing this, I actually forgot this part of the map even existed. I haven't been here in so long. We grab another checkpoint bench here before going through this room with the moss chargers and heading towards this awful, awful room. This one section of Greenpath is almost completely vertical, which, if you couldn't guess, is incredibly hard to route blindfolded because if you make one mistake, you'll fall all the way back to the bottom and have to start all over, which is what happened in this clip here. Who's so fucking good at this game? Someone here is really fucking good at this game. I don't know who it is. I got a hunch, but someone's like really freaking good. Oh. Wait. Oh. Don't clip that. Don't clip that. Anyways, we grabbed this third bench before climbing through here, and I was so paranoid from that last clip I spent a full minute making sure that I made this jump and was able to progress. We easily kill this Moss Knight and make our way up and around, where I have to take a pause here and count out this Moss Knight's steps so I can make sure he's in range to get fireballed 3 times so I can collect all this geo. I made sure to collect extra geo a lot throughout the run, because I had obviously no way of checking my total. I open the Greenpath stag and head over to Hornet, probably one of my favorite bosses in the run. I become best friends with this right wall and wait for her to dash to me, allowing me to pogo off her head until she staggers. Obviously, it's not foolproof, and there were a couple of close calls.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
Again, I'd use these stagger points to heal to full HP, and any leftover soul I had, I'd use fireballs in her general direction and hoped that it would hit. She got me down to 1 HP twice, the second one only barely avoiding death with a clutch heal. Eventually, though, we take her down on the first try and claim the Mothwing Cloak, something that will make our movement a lot easier, due to the fact that it gives a constant distance for every dash. For reference, up until now I had been counting out the knight's steps, which can work, but if I get off by a little bit, then chances are I'll fall on acid and have to restart the room. After this, I get lost by going to the crossroads stag on accident, walking into this wall for a while before realizing my mistake and heading to Dirtmouth, where I chat with Eldebug real fast before going down the fungal wastes for Mantis Claw. This split is one of the scarier parts of the run, as I can't take any checkpoint benches because backtracking up would be incredibly difficult. I also didn't want to route another vertical room nightmare, especially with all these acid hazards being in the way. Again, we have to go down to the normie route. I would love to do e-pogo, but it was just too difficult to pull off blind. I had a lot of trouble with Mantis Village in practice, but the early game of this run was godlike, and I managed to claim Mantis Claw without much issue. After this, I returned to Dirtmouth and pick up the Hallownest seal in the well for more geo, before going back to Crossroads to kill Gruzmother and her children, buy Shaman Stone from Salubra, and talk to Sly. I also made sure to sit on Salubra's bench, so I could set up Shade Skip. This was one of the more fun things to route. Shade Skip is incredibly satisfying to do blind. I even managed to get it on the first try, which is pretty sick. Now comes for the first difficult platforming section of the run. Remember how I said some platforms are awkwardly spaced? Well, that goes double for Dream Plats. I figured out that I could take a fall on purpose to get a constant position that I could start from for each segment. And again, this early game is doing me so many favors, and I don't even take that long to claim Dreamnail.
Next, we head over to City of Tears. I take a seat in the King Station and try to collect this seal.
Let's go! We're cool! We're so cool!
Feeling pretty dang cool, I head over to Glorious Husk to collect his Geo, before opening this shortcut for myself later on, and performing Spire early. I opened this gate from underneath before the absolute worst thing happened. This glitch right here is frame perfect. You have to make 2 pause events happen 1 frame after each other, in this case killing the sentry and hitting the pause button. I was deep in thought trying to figure out if I should reset or just head for the bench since I was right next to it. I couldn't hear the flying sentry still moving, as part of the glitch is your game audio stays muted as if you were paused.
Heal the full. Was I not paused? Hello?
This nearly killed the run, because if you die in this part of the spire, your shade goes down below into an arena with a Husk sentry, who is impossible to kill at this point. This time I sat on the bench to the left beforehand, just in case things went south, and I had to save and quit. Luckily, I was able to sneak in and grab my shade before taking too much damage, allowing the run to continue.
Got it. Get out of there. Run.
After this, we cleared this arena and open up this bench next to Cornifer before spamming this loading zone to get full soul from the big guy and heading into Soul Sanctum. It's at this point of the run I should talk about this thing in the top left of the pause screens. Yes, I did end up having to use a mod for this run, that being the Quality of Life mod, which made Shade Soul lever skip possible. I tried doing it the legit way, but the Soul Warrior and his mistakes just had too much RNG involved to be possible blindfolded. I tried routing that fight for 6 hours in one stream, and I could not get it to work. I talked to a couple of members in the HK community and ran the idea past them, and the general consensus was that if it was the only way, which to my knowledge it is, then it'd be fine. Anyways, I take advantage of some current patch jank on the elevator to perform what's called Elevator Glitch, where the knight keeps the physics of the elevator after getting hit by a hazard. I use this to float into this specific part of the wall, just underneath the floor. Too low when you get stuck in the invisible geometry, too high and you just pop out the other side and have to try again. Next we go off screen here to the left and jump off a wall and hit the lever, thanks to Quality of Life, to open the gate. Then I save and quit and go collect Shade Soul, which we'll need for Soulmaster. Then I take a quick peek into Soul Sanctum so I can get Soul Twister. I need it for the Salubra Charm Notch, and it's part of my charm build this run. My newly acquired Shade Soul allows me to one-shot these guys in the Hell Room, and I lure them down to the bottom so I can make sure that they both die at the same time. I open the shortcut from when I come back and collect Soul Twister, then save and quit back to the corner for bench. The ascent to the stag is not very fun. I have to lure each of these sentries to their death one by one on the spikes before I can platform to the top to collect this simple key and stag back to Dirtmouth. Next thing we do is go back to Fungal Wastes to collect the Charm Notch from the Ogres, another thing that wouldn't be possible without Shade Soul. I definitely should have save and quit here being on 1 HP, but I somehow narrowly avoid this attack and end up being able to collect the notch on the first try. After this, we save and quit and stag back to Salubra to buy the last charm notch that we need for the run. It was at this point that I realized I completely forgot to unlock King's Station. My knee-jerk reaction was to freak out.
Mouse? I didn't unlock it. Oh, it's okay. That's okay. I don't need to freak out. I just need to get to city storerooms. I'm stupid, and that is okay.
It ended up not being so bad, as I could just walk back through the city storeroom stag easily enough. We equip Shaman Stone and Soul Twister on this bench, collect full soul, and head over to fight Soulmaster. I died once off camera. I lost the footage for that again because the VOD was deleted, but the second fight was incredibly lucky. I need him to do this attack where he floats across the middle of the screen so I can double hit him with Shade Soul. I get this attack twice in a row, which is god tier RNG, which allows me to go to the second phase. I collect soul from him by jumping and swinging up. I also need him to spawn on the ground. It's not completely necessary. With my HP, I probably would have been fine if he spawned in the air, but I appreciate the luck nonetheless. I perform Fake Dive real quick for swag points, before making my way out of Soul Sanctum. I almost died to these flying mistakes, but I was able to just spam nail upwards and keep them off me, heal up, and head out. Next up on the list is getting Flukenest, which is why I needed Desolate Dive. There's a way to cheese Flukemarm on patch 1221, where you can spam dive on top of her and one-shot her while being invincible. After the first version swap of the run, I have to go through the section that's absolutely terrifying. I had to painstakingly kill each fluke one by one on my way there. I used to try and speed my way through it, but it ended up being way too inconsistent for my tastes, so this was the only other option. Also, this glitch happens here where the fluke gets stuck in the ground. His hitbox disappeared. I don't have any idea how it works, but it was pretty funny. Now for Flukemarm. I need to jump up to the top and position myself perfectly so my dash will put me in the right spot for the dive cheese. This took a couple tries, but we kill her easy enough and claim our prize. After this, I pulled an audible on the route. I'm supposed to go to Watcher Knights here, but my brain for some reason was like, why not just go to Isma's tier and Dung Defender right now? It'll be faster. Which we can't do without Crystal Dash, but what happened, so... We roll up to Dung Defender and do a Scream Skip so we can spam Fluke to push him to his second phase, where we can again dive him out of the ground, do another Scream Skip, and Dream Nail for Soul just to kill him. I tanked one too many hits, but ended up killing him on the first try. After spending 4 minutes going the wrong way, I realized my mistake and head back out to go kill Watcher Knights. I do Spire early again and equip the charms that I need, Soul Twister, Flukenest, and Shaman Stone. Yes, we are over-charming for Watcher Knights. You'll see why in a few seconds. All we need is consistent movement, which is easy enough since their spawns are always in the same place, and they all go down in 2 flukes. After this, we pick up the Geo from the chest and claim our first dreamer of the run, Lurien. I swap back to current patch for this segment for consistent enemy spawns. This is where I decide to end the run for the day, as my brain is completely fried, and Crystal Peak is the most difficult, stupidly challenging section of the run. It is so incredibly hard, it took this much time to finish it. 6 grueling hours. Crystal Peak not only has ridiculously hard platforming with the conveyors and spikes in the first room, but it has not 1, not 2, but 3 tall vertical rooms, each with multiple bug lasers and cycles that can absolutely ruin an attempt. But the worst part of the whole thing is the room right before Crystal Dash. Don't get me wrong, there's a couple of those mini checkpoints here where I can spam a loading zone and get full health and soul and whatnot, but this just added to the length of each attempt. Towards the beginning of this stream, They were taking 30 minutes just to get to the final, most difficult part of the split. In all these 6 hours, I think I only had maybe 10 or 12 attempts that made it to the final room. This room is absolute hell. Not only are there no more checkpoints past here, after this first section, there's no going back due to you respawning at this point. You only get 3 healths worth of soul, and that's it. Which may seem like a lot of elbow room, but it is impossible to differentiate the crystals in this section based on their sound alone. They sound exactly the same, and there are so many of them going off at once. And don't even get me started on the final section. Oh, this section. It was the triple whammy. Conveyors, a floor that may as well be lava, and crystals you can kind of hear, but it doesn't matter because you're either on a conveyor belt, so there's a pseudo time limit on how long you can wait for the cycles, or you're hopping on a flipping platform, so even if you get one cycle correct, it probably won't matter because the next platform you're hopping on probably isn't on the correct cycle. I think of the 10 or so attempts that made it here, only 2 made it to the final section with full HP and soul. Also, what's even more heartbreaking, the first attempt made it to the final jump in this section, and I screwed it up and spent 6 more hours there. So yeah, that's why this part of the run took 6 hours. With all that said, here's the attempt that finally made it. Also, Farewell from Celeste started playing towards the end, which I thought was pretty poetic.
Let's go! Yes! Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh. Oh my god. Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god. I held the dash this time. I held the dash this time. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yes.
And with that, I ended the stream for the day as there was no way my mental state would survive another couple hours of this run. Day 3 of the run started. Next on the list would be getting Isma's tier. Easy enough to do as I had beaten Dung Defender earlier than I was supposed to. I just had to make it past this room of flukes and C-dash across. I platform my way up here and do the arena before claiming Isma's tier.
I just now thought of Isma being Isma from Emperor's New Groove, which would that make Dung Defender, would that make Dung Defender Kronk? Hi, Isma. You're so beautiful. The way you just repel acid like that.
Cringe impressions aside, we now had to make our way back to King's Station so we can stack the Dirtmouth and start making our way to the teacher's archives. I spent like an hour and a half routing this room at first before I realized you could just C-dash like normal, tank the Gome, and dash onto the platform and into the next room. We go through the acid thanks to our newly acquired tier and make our way into the archives. We sit on this bench and swap to 1221 to abuse flukes again and start the fight. It's actually simpler than it looks. All we have to do is lure Uuwuu down to the bottom left side of the arena, after which we test with our nail to see how close she is, take a hit on purpose, and dash to the opposite side and spam fluke until she dies. With Uuwuu down, we claim our second dreamer, Monomon. After climbing back out and equipping Shaman Stone and Soul Twister, we perform the hardest speedrun trick in the run in order to gain access to Queen's Gardens, QGA Skip Skip, which rivals the difficulty of the absolute hardest trick in the game, Underplat.
QGA skip time. Oh, that was close. All right, first try QGA skip. Let's go. That's awesome. Poggers. Poggies. Almost as hard as Underplat, but not quite.
We visit this egg for full soul and HP before taking care of the Petra Arena, using the right wall as a reference point. The room coming up next is incredibly difficult, so we go up to where Cornifer is and take that bench before moving on. This section with the lever was near impossible to figure out consistent platforming for. The platforms that flip down are spaced so awkwardly that I just had to jump, dash, and pray that I would land on it. Thankfully, this happened third try, or I for sure would have been here for a long time. Next was this long room before my next bench. Using some precise C-dashes and Shade Souls, and this one nifty C-dash that I fail on purpose so I can space this wall jump to get on the platform easily, I managed to, again, get through a hard part of the run on the first try. I take the bench and swap versions again, before spamming Dream Nail on these spiky fellers so I can have full soul for Deepnest. Deepnest isn't too difficult, but one small mistake like hitting a spike sends me back to the beginning of each room, which can be really annoying. This section right here was also incredibly scary, as there are no consistent movement that can get us over these platforms. I end up having to C-dash and listen for the audio cue of the webs on the middle platform, after which I cancel the C-dash and try to land on the middle platform so I can continue on. I believe this took 2 tries. The first try I went too far, so I tried to stop a little earlier, listening to the sound of the C-dash as my cue. With this, I'm able to execute on the rest of the platforming cleanly and make my way into Beast's Den. This section is also pretty rough due to the wall spiders and all the hazard respawns that I can run into, but I end up getting to the bench easily enough and finally claim the third and final dreamer, Herrah. With all of this out of the way, we are able to take on the final boss. We need to do some prep, however, as overpowered as Flukenest is, it can only take us so far against THK. Firstly, I need to go and die to him on purpose, so we don't have to do any special movement after breaking his chains in order to get into position. All we have to do is C-dash into his room, and then he'll scream and freeze us in the perfect spot, allowing us to spam flukes and then continue the fight. After this, I go to fetch lifeblood from 2 different locations, the one in Greenpath and the one in King's Pass. I stag over to Greenpath first since it's a longer way back from that lifeblood to the next one, and it's also significantly harder to get through without being hit. Unfortunately, I do lose 1 lifeblood HP to Avenge Fly on my way back, but I decide to keep going instead of reset for the full HP value. After collecting lifeblood from King's Pass and getting full soul, I make my way over to the final encounter.
Okay, I can do this. Let's go! Oh, we did it! We beat Hollow Knight blindfolded. Oh my god. Oh my god. 12 and a half hours. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can see! Oh, this cutscene's so beautiful! Is this what it's like to be able to see stuff?
Finally, after months of preparing and practicing, and probably the most grueling 12 hours I've ever spent playing this game, we beat Hollow Knight completely blindfolded. Huge thanks to everyone in the Hollow Knight community for helping routing, and in general just being so incredibly supportive. There's no way I could have done this without everyone behind my back. If you watch this video all the way through or just skip to the end for spoilers and you like what you see, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see whenever I go live or come out with new content. I stream on Twitch and YouTube semi-regularly around 3 p.m. CST most days. I also have a Patreon if you'd like to support me even further in making hot gaming content like this. I'll put the links to everything below. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.